I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we uncover the poetic brilliance of Curt G. Curtin through the eyes of his wife and publicist, Dee O'Connor. At 93, Curtin's profound experiences from the wilderness of the Berkshires to the classrooms of academia have culminated in his latest work. It is called Nature's Eclectic Designs, a collection that dances with themes of evolution, nature, and human introspection. We're delighted to talk about this wonderful author on our show today. We thank our team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put Dee in the spotlight today to talk about it. And we ask viewers like you to support creators like them by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing their wonderful book. The links are below this interview. Dee, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Same here, Logan. Thank you.
My pleasure. Let's give the folks at first an overview. What is Nature's Eclectic Designs about?
So this is the fifth in a series of Curt's books, and this one focuses on themes drawn from nature, from a whole life of experience of enjoying and taking wonder in nature and finding meaning, the human search for meaning through various metaphors in nature.
Yeah. Now, you've been beside Curt for over 4 decades now, witnessing his evolution as a poet. What do you believe drives his unwavering passion for poetry, especially as he navigates through the challenges of aging?
Well, I know that he started writing when he was a teenager. He spent a winter in the Berkshires living alone in a cottage, and he tells me that he wrote a lot while he was there. And then when he got to the end of that time, he burned it all up. So I've never seen that part of his work. But since then, he has continued to write for his entire career. He was a teacher for most of his career at the college level. And during that time, he probably produced a little less. But once he retired, he, started putting out tons and tons of things. And he has quite a diverse set of interests. So the eclectic in this book is only a mirror of the eclectic nature of all of his poetry.
Yeah, him spending time in the Berkshires alone and writing reminds me a little bit, of course, of like Henry David Thoreau. Thoreau did not burn on Walden Pond, fortunately. Why did Curt tell you he burned those works? Was he displeased with them?
He just didn't think that it represented where he wanted to go, I guess, and didn't want to leave that portion behind. Yeah. I've always regretted that because I would have loved to see what it entailed, but I think he considered it kind of his practice, and now he was ready to start writing for real.
Exactly. Until this day, he makes his home in the Berkshires, right?
Well, we're in Auburn, outside of Worcester, Massachusetts, so we're a couple of hours from the Berkshires, but we go back there every once in a while.
Yeah, it's a good place to go for inspiration, that's for sure. Nature's Eclectic Designs is a bold exploration of evolution, natural selection, and humanity's quest for meaning. Tell us how Curt's personal experiences and philosophical beliefs inspired this collection.
Well, he's told me that when he was in the Berkshires, there was one book in his cottage, and it was The Last Temptation of Christ by Nicholas Kazantzakis, which is, quite a powerhouse of looking at the life of Jesus through more of a human lens. And I think, he's had questions his whole life about, the nature of spirituality, and he draws upon that search through a lot of his work. There's a lovely line in one of the poems in this book that says, that people who still believe that the gods believe in us. And it's kind of an interesting twist on the idea of faith and what it means. So he takes a lot of his search for meaning from nature and from, the human interaction with one another and with the various forms of nature.
Nature, the world, animal kingdom, and humankind as well. Those are really the only tangibles on this earth that to some point to a creator or God or Jesus, and to others not, of course. So that's where he draws his meaning from those tangibles, from seeing the beauty of a flower growing or an animal in nature, that kind of thing.
Right. So a lot of it in this book is that kind of direct experience of nature on earth. Some of his other poems get into string theory and neutrinos and all kinds of scientific concepts. Those are not as much emphasized here, but he's kind of had broad interests in physics and science and the interaction of the sciences with spirituality.
Tell us about the cover of this book. It features quite a handsome ape in a cap, I believe. Tell us about that and what it means.
Oh, she's a beauty. She's a creation of a friend of ours, actually, who's an artist from Westfield, Mass. And she is an ape wearing jewelry and a hat and a bit of a smirk on her face. And it really, to me and to Curt, I think expresses that connection of humans to apes and the intelligence that's in the face of that ape, and that connection to evolution. One of the poems talks about you need that history to understand where we are. You need to look back to that. And the back cover has a little bit of an excerpt, a detail from another painting of hers that is a male figure, and he's got a face turned with a little smirk that I think reminds me of Curt. So it's so the two of them are kind of wrapping the book in that theme of how nature evolved and how it gives us meaning. I wanted to call that series Intelligent Design, but my friend, gave it something else. So, but I think it connects to the designs thought in the title as well.
Absolutely. Now, throughout Curt's collections, there's a sense of teaching and exploration. Tell us how he views his role as an educator through poetry and what message he hopes to impart on readers.
Well, he's been an educator for most of his life, and he taught poetry, he taught creative writing. Excuse me, now I'm going to get a tickle in my throat.
No worries.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
And he was a wonderful teacher. He would draw out what a person was trying to do themselves in their work and not to necessarily impose, but he would draw from a variety of types of poetry and help people to understand the connection between sound and sense, metaphor, all of the key elements of poetry.
Yeah. Now, Curt's not with us today on TV. You're here instead. How's he doing? Is he still writing? Give the folks at home an update on Curt.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well. He has very profound hearing loss, and he has visual impairments, and he has other chronic conditions that are typical for a 93-year-old guy. So it's really hard for him to participate in interviews at this point. And even when we do readings, I do the reading and he'll come with me and talk a little bit about the poetry, but that's gotten hard as well. He's not writing as much currently as he is working with me around getting the work published and getting it out to, in some cases, children, in some cases, adults. He has a bunch of different audiences.
Yeah. And as far as writing right now, he writes from time to time still, right?
Yeah, but mostly it's working on the existing poetry and tweaking it and editing it and looking at it in a fresh way.
Wonderful. Well, it's that fresh take he has on nature and the world that makes his voice very unique, of course. The book we're talking about today is called Nature's Eclectic Designs. It's a collection that I mentioned before that dances with themes of evolution, nature, and human introspection. It is written by Curtin. We've had the pleasure of speaking today with his wife, Dee O'Connor. Dee, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you so much. This is a pleasure.
Pleasure's been all mine. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.